Because of the following special program, Private Benjamin will not be presented this evening.
Nothing like a trip back to the 80s.
Yeah.
That is.
I think we officially have another co-host. She heard the countdown theme music and came running in here.
Oh, that's awesome.
This is Callie.
So, hello everybody. Welcome. I am Jay Hartman. I'm the editor-in-chief of Misti Media. In case you folks are new to us, with me is my partner in crime, author Linda K. Hardie. I'm coming to you.
And crime's the word, yes.
Yes, and I'm coming to you from the extremely windy Misti Media Studios here in Las Vegas. It has been insanely windy the last few days, getting storms up through LA. What's it like at your undisclosed location, Linda, up in northern Nevada?
Well, I was just looking out on my deck because it's been snowing all day, and the Weather Service was predicting like a snowpocalypse from 7 a.m. today until 4 a.m. tomorrow. 4 to 8 inches of snow. I believe I have about, 6 inches of snow now. It's hard to say because it's all, white and glistening, and it's still snowing.
Is that
I didn't have to go out today, but tomorrow.
Is that a 6 real inches or 6 internet inches?
Well, it would be 6 real inches, I think, but I'm not going out there to stick a ruler in it because
you gotta get one of those weather measuring sticks. When I grew up in Syracuse, Bud Hedinger, oh my God, I can't believe I remember the name of the weather guy, but he eventually went to Florida. To do the weather in Orlando. But Bud used to have this thing where he'd pull a chain and like fake snow would fill the container like up to whatever the level was of however many inches of snow we had. You need to get one of those so we can like go to a live shot of you outside in the snow. Your muffs and the whole
doing weather in Orlando. Orlando does not have weather. There's no weather there.
Tell that to the guys from the Weather Channel when a hurricane comes blowing through. That's
I was just gonna say the hurricane it's like all their weather condensed into a couple of days, a few times a month in the season. Yeah.
So let's see.
I'd rather have real weather spread out.
I'll take anything except tornadoes. So Linda, we've got some folks that are real special to me from the reseller community. So Regina's here. Hello, Regina. Jennifer, my love. Carol. Let's see who else is here. I believe that that right there is one of our authors. And there's Kay. There's Greg. Teresa. Nice to see you, Teresa. So we're doing things a little different this week, Linda. So we're wanting to, one of the goals I had when I set up Misti Media was I want to do education for authors and other small pubs. I wanted to make sure that information was available to everybody who was, without having to jump through major hoops to get that information. We kind of got away from that a little bit. And we're focusing on our authors and stuff, which is great. But I miss the fun of being able to take questions from people. I know you used to work in radio. I'm sure you're used to like callers calling in, right?
Mm-hmm. And then also I taught at the university, English Comp and Core Humanities for 17 years. So questions, yeah, I get them. I answer them.
You would have been such a fun professor to have.
I think so.
I could totally see you as an English prof. That would be amazing.
And that with Core Humanities, I like to teach the ancient and medieval history section of it because everybody, the kids all say, "Oh, that's so boring. It's all so old." No, it's not. That was the Marvel superheroes universe of the times. I mean, the Odyssey and Sophocles plays and all that. That was, that was Loci and, and Captain Marvel and.
Did you teach Chaucer at all?
Oh yeah. Speaking of, yeah.
You know what? I almost didn't graduate with my degree because of that damn writer.
See, you didn't have the right person.
Well, she taught it in the Old English. She taught it in the Old English, and it was like, And I remember the book we were using for class had a side-by-side translation, and like even that didn't help.
You have to have a good translation. Like the Odyssey, I used to use the Robert Fagles translation, and then Emily Wilson, not too many years ago, handful of years ago, she came out with a translation that blows everybody else out of the water because she kept it real. She calls a slave, whereas the earlier men who translated would say, servant or courtier or something like that.
Gussy it up a little.
Yeah, and now they were kind of smoothing out the rough edges. She's given us everything, and it reads like it could be on the New York Times bestseller list, So, yeah, it's a great translation.
So I think we're going to jump right in. Carol is asking,
yes.
Did I meet Susie? So Carol, I am scheduled to, Susie arrived today, but I was off from the day job at the airport. So on her outbound on Friday, I'm going to be able to see her then. We've already made arrangements, and we're going to get a picture taken together, and Susie said she'll make sure it gets posted to the group so that everybody will be able to see it. So we're very much looking forward to that. And hello, Linda. Good to see you. All right. So I did put in, I put in the thumbnail that if folks had questions, they could message me at jhartman@mistimedia.com. That's the letter J, Hartman. We did get one question, so we'll get that addressed first. I just do want to do a little bit of housekeeping real quick and remind folks that this channel is not monetized. We are really far from being monetized at this point. So if you want to help us and help support an independent press and support our authors, we really ask that you subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and whenever possible, use the links in our description down below to purchase titles from us. The best thing you can do for a book publisher and its authors are to buy the books and to give the books. And this week's new release is oh my gosh, I want to get it right because it's a big series and I keep adding the wrong name to the bottom of it, and it is Resolute Command, which is a science fiction novel, first in a series by James R. Prosser, and $1.99 everywhere else. but only 99 cents in ebook format from our website, nazcapress.com, or at Drive Through Fiction, the best retail partners we could ever have. Drive Through Fiction takes such good care of us, and they promote us like crazy. They're the last independent ebook store in the world. So we
And
adore them.
it's nice to have another ebook store, an alternative to
Yeah,
and somebody that cares about authors and publishers and the small presses.
their big thing is their big support of small press. Any other publisher, any other retailer, they're taking a giant percentage just for the luxury of you being able to list the book, but they don't actually do anything for you. And Drive Through Fiction's been the complete opposite for us. And no, this is not a sponsored. We don't have any sponsors. It's just that we happen to genuinely love Drive Through for everything they've done for us over the years and how well they take care of us. So we are going to go to Greg's question. So Greg asks, the new adult genre emerged in 2009, but if I understand correctly, as a fiction genre, it was rapidly discredited for various reasons. However, in recent years, new imprints of several traditional publishers, such as Macmillan's Wednesday Books, Entangled Publishing's Red Tower Books, and Berkeley XO, now champion new adult. My questions to you are, one, how credible and real is new adult as a genre today? And two, if that's what I write, should I boldly and unapologetically say so? Or would that approach be fatally limiting? So, Linda, we're gonna divide this in two, because I'm gonna tackle this one from the point of view of the publisher side of things. But so I'll take over number one, if you'll take over number two. Boy, that didn't come out right at all, did it? I'll throw some charm in your way so you can take care of number two.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'll just run around the side of the building and take care of number one. So, how credible and real is new adult as a genre today? I am going to say that it is still a valid genre. There was some weirdness that went on when it came out in 2019 as a category, because it emerged as a way of being able to add things that were a little more racy or a little more adult for a reading age that was more like 18 to 23. If that it was this weird demographic. So it was like there were these people that wanted to put Harry Potter into new adult instead of young adult, because of the themes involved with it. There's some pretty harsh, Harry Potter's not like a warm fuzzy kind of book series when you get right down to it. So new adult emerged as this way to be able to include a little bit tougher content without going full on adult. So like where adult fiction, you can get away with a lot of X-rated stuff or R-rated stuff. New adult was basically young adult was basically PG, and new adult became the PG-13. So like where you wouldn't necessarily swear in a young adult book, new adult, you can drop the F-bomb, you can have people have sex, as long as most of it's done off screen kind of thing. But then what happened was the isolation of that category became too hard for stores to manage, because they were getting all this crossover of people that were reading new adult that weren't new adults. So there was stuff in there that was vastly appealing to older readers. And then there were more mature young adult readers who were capable of handling that content of whether their parents gave approval or, it was just understood they were reading on a higher level. So new adult kind of flooded into the others and became less of a distinguished category. It became sort of this minor player thing. Over the years, particularly in the last, we'll be nice. We try to avoid politics if we can, but we'll say within the last year and a half, in particular, of excessive book bans, people ripping LGBT content out of public libraries, That's actually what's caused new adult to come back as a category, is because most of the books that are being challenged in public libraries and in high schools are actually those things with that more adult content that's still geared towards a reader who would be under the age of 21. And so publishers are seeing that there's a need for that market. There's a real hunger for that kind of content that's real without being too real. Written on a level that kids of a certain age are capable of handling the content. And so as a result, new adult is absolutely still credible as a genre. I would say really look at your content. So really kind of be familiar with other books in the genre to understand if you're really writing higher than what new adult should be. Are you going, if you're finding that you're going more explicit, if you find that you're going higher in language, with F-bombs and so forth, you may not actually be right for the new adult category. So just think of it as, if you think of it as movie rankings, think of it as PG-13 to NC-17. NC-17 is higher than R or lower than R?
Higher.
It goes R then NC-17?
Yeah.
Oh, then you want to go PG-13 to like a very light R. Is how I would put it in movie terms, and then
I think.
Yeah, and then anything over that, I would say you probably should be looking at going from that. Look, I mean, if the bottom line is write a great book, write a great book and let other people decide. Sad to say, but the chances of you getting your book on a bookshelf in today's traditional bookstore is slim to none, especially if you're publishing through a small press. But on a library shelf, the librarians are not as obsessed with those kind of rankings. They're looking for really great books, and that's all they really care about. So, Linda, from a writer perspective, his number 2 question there, if that's what I write, should I boldly and unapologetically say so, or would that approach be fatally limiting? Do you think an author should, how do you feel an author should approach that?
Oh, definitely just be bold with it. Because see, when the new adult category came out, from a writer's point of view, I saw that as a way for people who are adults to read young adult type material and not look like some kind of pervert. Because young adult books in the past, like 20 years, have become so interesting and exciting. And as a whole, they're extremely well written. Some of them aren't, but that's a whole nother story. But they've got, okay, go. They've got a lot of really good imagination and stories and ideas, and there's a lot of crossover of genres where you've got romance and fantasy, which is romantasy, new category.
Yeah.
But the apocalyptic novels, I mean, those are something that were entrenched in YA quite a bit ago. But there's all sorts of really good stories in YA. And there were a number of people that I knew that liked to read YA, but they felt kind of bad about, ew, I'm an adult. What, ew, I'm 20, 21 years old. I'm 20. I should I be reading that? Ew. And so the new adult was a way to, have that same excitement and the same adventure. So definitely, if you're writing it, yes, and seize it and own it. But when you want to publish it, make sure you're publishing it with somebody that has the same vision.
Yeah. Yes.
Because they're like you were saying, some of them it's like, ooh, wait a minute, what's going on there? Should that be in the adult bookstore?
Right.
So
yeah, I think kind of on a bigger picture too. I mean, you remember when there was all the backlash against women reading romance novels, and like if they were seen on a bus reading a romance novel with a half bare chested guy on the cover that was like, oh, romance is crap and women are all women are stupid readers because they're reading this crap with bare chested men, and then all of a sudden like the script swapped and all of a sudden romance became like the hottest category going. And
well, romance has actually always been the hottest category. I mean, and when you're looking at sales figures, romance is like everything else is here, but romance has always been way up here because, I mean, and they're not poorly written. Some of them are formulaic. You do this and this, but westerns are formulaic. Space opera is formulaic. But yeah, so there's still some of that. I'm glad that it did get out of being completely ghettoized. But
I just think that it's I just think that we've fortunately romance authors were able to finally get that stigma taken off of them along with readers, romance readers. And I think the same thing is happening now with new adult. I think that that stigma of it's one of the reasons why new adult kind of faded though for a while was the stigma started to lift about the young adult being attractive to older readers. But yeah, I agree with you. I think there's still some of that squick factor that's like, oh, why is somebody buying something out of the kids section or whatever to go and read? It's that same uncomfortable feeling that women had in the 80s and early 90s when they were trying to enjoy a romance novel on the subway. We're just seeing that shifted to a different genre now. So Greg,
there's always people that want to look down their nose at your choice of what you want to read, and read what you like.
The whole point is to get people to read. I mean, the numbers are so terrible year after year of that drops of. I mean, the number was something absolutely horrific of the number of people who read books last year. It's amazing there's any room left for us publishers out there, but you read statistics like that, and it's just depressing as hell. Because you're like, what, God, people are. I mean, the number of people who haven't read a single book in a year is like,
or haven't read it as they're adults and they haven't read a single book since high school.
Right. Yeah. So Greg, I hope that answered your question. Looking to see if we have any questions popping up in the chat, but not as of yet. If you folks do have questions for us, whether it's about publishing or anything else, our take on whatever's going on in the world, well, we'll try to be we'll try to refrain from those if we can, but we are here to do a Q&A from everybody. Question for you, Miss Linda.
Yes.
How do you feel the landscape has changed over the last, let's say, 5 to 10 years for teaching people how to write? Because I know you're an educator. I know you've spent a lot of time teaching people the craft of writing. Is there a difference now? What's the difference now in how you teach people to write versus maybe how you would have approached it 5-10 years ago?
Well, there's two kinds of writing teaching that I've done. When I taught at the university, I taught English comp. Bonehead English, woohoo! Well, not quite bonehead because, never mind. But that's the class that 99% of the incoming first-year students have to take. If you pass your exams with a certain kind of score, you can skip out of it. But really, everybody needs it because we're teaching how to write college essays, do critical thinking, put together a logical paper, that sort of thing. And then there's writing for writers. I teach classes in the community. I've got a short story writing class coming up in April here in where I live. And we have
your undisclosed location in Northern Nevada.
Exactly. And we actually have a big art foundation that covers, dancers and painters and musicians. A couple of years ago, we realized, we're the literary artists. Bam. Now we're part of that. So I'm going to be teaching a short story writing class in 3 2-hour classes. And so it's different for that because the college teaching, it's teaching them these steps and everything. And students have always, since Mesopotamian times, when you're just pushing that little stylus in the clay and letting it dry out.
Hi, Patrick.
People have
Nice
hated
to have you
writing.
here, man.
Hey. So that it's always been a problem getting people to learn to write in a style that's like, you're communicating. And it's gotten worse since Chat GPT, Gen AI, because they won't do it anymore. Just, what's the assignment? Okay. Chat GPT, write me a paper on this.
How are you able to tell if somebody is turning in something to you that's been created by AI versus something that they've actually written on their own? Has it gotten so good to the point now that as an instructor you're having difficulty with that, or is there still enough of it shit being written that you're still able to identify when it's being done by ChatGPT and when it's being done by a human?
Well, I don't know if it's gotten good enough that you can't tell, because I had to leave a couple of years ago, the university, because I couldn't prosecute anybody for plagiarism anymore, because they're customers. We got to make them happy anyway. But like, I would get a paper, and the sources quoted in the paper itself were not listed in the works cited page. That's one big thing, AI hallucinations, they call them.
Right.
Another one is the paper would actually have nothing to do with the prompt. And so it's obvious that they didn't understand the prompt and just kind of typed something in. And...
Well, you just described my submission pile. I can't tell you how. I can't tell you how many times we put out a call for an anthology and we say this is exactly what we want, and then you get something that is just so far left field. And like, did you even read it? Did you even look at what we were asking for? Because
yeah, I bet for the Barry Manilow anthology, you probably got anti-Barry Manilow stories, and then
I got stories that had nothing to do with Barry Manilow.
Exactly.
And I'm like, they wrote it about nightclubs. They didn't even write the book about Barry Manilow. I'm like, you realize the subtitle was crime fiction inspired by the music of Barry Manilow. Like, what part of that did you miss?
Mm-hmm. But yeah. So, but when I was still there, still hanging on, the paper would have the sources quoted that had nothing to do with the sources listed, and the paper was like, that's not what I was asking for. And issues like that.
Jerry says professors should have the students write their papers in the classroom with a pen and paper and their devices turned off.
Yeah.
That would be the ideal,
but
like that would be the ideal. But like Linda was pointing out, the student is the customer, so they're oh well, we don't. I mean, that story that story that came out at the university about the woman the teacher who tried to fail the student because they didn't write the paper, anything having to do with it, and then she lost her job as a result of that
because it was supposedly because she didn't like Jesus.
Right.
And that paper, Jesus was not,
had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. But yeah. And I heard about a submission call for professional writers where you had to handwrite your story to send it in, like a 5,000 word story. I don't know if you can see how nasty arthritic these fingers are. I can't write anymore. Typing is fine because the computer keys do all the work. But yeah, these are just kind of makeshift. Let's see if we can fix things off the wall ideas. Throw in spaghetti and see if it sticks.
Yeah.
But teaching to writers, like in the community, I haven't seen a whole lot of changes there. Because it's always people who are interested, although there are more and more people that want to be writers and are looking to improve their skills that don't have a lot of the basics. They don't know what point of view is. They're not really that great with verb tenses
Yeah.
and
Oh,
sentence
yeah.
structure,
Yeah, I see that a lot when I'm copy editing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah, the university thing is just sad. The college thing is just sad.
The other thing too, I think that goes along with that is, we're is sort of that short attention, what I call short attention span theater, where everybody's used to getting engaging in their entertainment in small bites. They can't handle, used to be like a 30-minute YouTube video was perfectly fine, and now it's all about YouTube shorts. It's like that attention span, and you would think that would translate somehow into better written short stories, and yet it doesn't seem to. And I think it's because people don't realize that short story writing is a skill that needs to be
And
honed.
and that's why I'm teaching this class, because all my writer friends say, "Wow, how do you write short stories?" Because I've got dozens of them published. How do you write short stories? I mean, I have to do the character's background and the in-depthness and the story and I say, yeah. And so I said to a friend who runs a retreat, a writer's retreat, she said, "Hey, could you do a class for me?" I said, I'll do one on writing short stories. Let me figure out how I do it. And I spent like 8 months trying to figure out, what am I doing? And that turned into a 1-hour class that I'm expanding. But yeah, a short story is completely different from a novel. You're doing different things. And anyway, it's going to take me 6 hours to talk about it. We don't have time tonight. But yeah. But what people think, and I've seen this in children's literature, because my first published book was I have one here. My first published book was a children's picture book, traditionally published by a small press that unfortunately went out of business 2 years later because they did good work. I mean, look at that quality.
It's nice. I mean, that's some nice artwork. I mean, that artwork's really nicely done.
And the quality of the printing and everything. And so they just couldn't survive. That came out in 2001. They were gone in 2003. But people from the outside always look in and say, "Oh, look, picture books. They're short." Mine was about 1,100 words. Nowadays, the word count limit for a picture book is around 500 to 700 words.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And people think, I can write 500 words. That's like 2 pages, double spaced. Well, yeah, but look what you have to do in all that time.
Yeah, what you have to
You
accomplish.
create an entire universe in 500 words. That's hard. Ask poets.
I was really impressed last year. Every year I go I also serve as the vice president of Writers and Publishers Network, and every year they bring me to LA for the LA Times Festival of Books, and I work the booth.
I'd love to go to that.
I would love to see the show. I haven't been able to leave the tent. I'm there for 2 days. I'm there for 2 days. I've done it 2 or 3 years now, and I still have yet to see the rest of the show. But I get authors coming through the booth all day long, asking questions. And but last year there were a couple children's authors, and their books were just astounding to me. Like what the quality of the illustrations, the quality of the writing in these picture books was just like nothing I had seen. One of my all-time, I used to work at a children's bookstore in San Carlos, California, called the Reading Bug, which has won, oh my God, I mean, tons of awards, and they're one of the only places with a children's book subscription service. I mean, they're just amazing. But working there, I got the chance to see so much more about what goes into kids' books, and the value of that, of a well-written and a well-illustrated children's picture book. And wow, it is not easy. We have a lot of resellers that are in the channel tonight that a lot of them have been selling kids books, and I kind of choke at some of their really low prices that they go for. I get it that they're, wanting to move product, but you know, there there's the kids picture book market is hot.
Mhm.
And especially for well done works. They're not they're not disposable books by any stretch of the imagination. And
Yeah.
if anything, they're the one type of book that's an actual keepsake that people treasure. Picture books people treasure, and they sign and they hand down to generations. And
And and when, my book came out in 2001, and I went to all the library branches. We have like, I don't know, about a dozen library branches in the county. And I went to just about every library branch doing events, readings and crafts and selling my books. And in recent years, I've had young adults come to me and say, "Oh, that's you! That was
isn't
my
that the
favorite
best?
book. And my mom got it at the Northwest Library." Wow.
Yeah, that's got to be a great feeling.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
the problem with owning a small press is you don't often see your books on the shelves in libraries. And I mean, anybody can request. For those of you out there that don't know this, a certain percentage of every library's annual budget is specifically allocated for patron requests. So the library must spend X number of dollars of their budget on requests from their community patrons. If they don't spend that in its entirety, often that budget gets cut the next year. So they're sort of ingrained to always, they've got the big publishers always talking in their ear. The reps from Penguin Random House and all of those show up at the library, and they sit down with the
Mhm.
librarian and they go over the book lists, and they do catalog orders and all that sort of thing. But small presses like myself, we don't get those same opportunities, and getting the word out on our titles is a lot harder, which is why we really rely on grassroots efforts of readers to go to their public library and say, hey, there's this really great book out by XYZ author. We'd love to read it. Can you carry it? And
And
you know,
I've had a lot of my suggestions picked up by the local library. I used to work in the library here, and so I saw how it worked. And my book actually got picked up by one of the library branches before they even knew it was me. So that was exciting. They picked it up because they happened to see it and liked it. And the librarians, they're going to look. You say, "I want this book from this publisher." And they'll take a look and they'll say, "Oh, that's really good. Let's get it." "Oh, that's crud. I really can't get that." And they'll get the ones that are real books, because I mean, there's stuff out there that's not good.
yeah, and the other thing that a lot of people don't realize is librarians don't go off of Amazon reviews. They under
Yeah.
they understand they understand that Amazon reviews are bought and paid for the most part, and most of them are fake, and they rely on other more trusted sources. For especially library specific
Mhm.
catalogs and things like
Yeah.
that to make their
What are the
choices.
other librarians? What are the other librarians saying about? Because librarians are readers.
Big
They
time.
read the books. Mhm.
So, people have, when authors come to me and they say, well, can you get me into XYZ bookstore? I'm like, you know what? More importantly is, can I get you into XYZ library?
Mhm.
Because if a librarian loves a book, they tell every other librarian how much they love that book. And the next thing you know, that book is on the shelves everywhere. Um,
And
Librarians have much
libraries
more.
libraries are just eager for entertainment, for programs. I've done a couple of non-book programs in libraries, but I tied them into books. I had I had a display of my troll dolls from the 1960s on display in one of the display cases at one of the library branches. And then the librarians helped me pick out some books about trolls, Norwegian trolls and stuff. And because they need those, they got these. Most of these have these displays, and you put in your craft work. And then they put books in there about knitting and stuff. But they're just eager for that. And then people to come in and do a little, knitting or crocheting demonstration. And here's a look at our knitting and
Yeah,
crocheting books.
I mean, librarians are all about making it a community space and a
Hmm.
community space
And a
for kids
learning
to read.
space.
Yep. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
I have huge love for librarians, and that's why I tend to focus, our marketing efforts more on reaching librarians, because I know how vital it is to the community. But also, uh, what people don't realize is that um, uh, when it comes to ebooks, so since Overdrive basically runs the ebook business for the majority of public libraries out there, you can go into your Overdrive app, and as long as your ebook, the title you're looking for is carried by Overdrive, you can do a search, and if your library isn't currently carrying it, you literally just have to tap on that title and say request from my library, and it immediately sends a request to the people in charge of purchasing, asking them to go ahead and get the title. We've been successful in getting our titles picked up here in Las Vegas. Basically every time we have a release, I go into the app and request it, and next thing I know, we've got a sale for to one of the libraries. And back in the other publisher, who will remain unnamed, back in my days with them, we did a lot of business with the libraries. Greg is saying, you guys, that library talk is very helpful to know. Is there a really respected librarian's journal that most of them read? I mean, Library Journal, I think, would be the primary.
Yeah.
Also ABA, the
Yeah.
American Book. ABA has what's called the yearly roundtable. So what they do is they get together and have a big conference that goes over several days, and they invite publishers and authors to submit titles for consideration. And what happens, and you submit them to the various, there's different places to send them for different genres and for nonfiction. And what happens is if your book is selected to go through the review process, your book is actually reviewed by a panel of librarians for your particular category. If the librarians decide that your book has merit and is of a high quality, the ABA will actually make a recommendation that book should be on the shelves in libraries. And then that creates its own list for librarians to go look at what's been recommended, and 99% of the time they're going to pick up whatever's on that list, because ABA has already done the vetting for them of the quality of the books. So
I got to go to the American Library Association conference in San Francisco one year when I was on the board of directors for the Friends
I'm
of the
sorry,
Library.
ALA is what I meant, not ABA. ALA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. ABA. Yeah, that's another book group of people.
Yeah, that's a different one. No, I'm sorry, I meant ALA.
I picked up this shirt, Friends of the
Hi, Terry.
San Francisco Public Library, that same weekend. But anyway, the ALA, big, huge convention. And they have authors there. I got to meet Kevin Hanks.
Nice.
Big, and he signed it. See, to Linda and Kevin Hanks.
See, this is what I'm saying about kids' books. There's something about kids' picture books that make them highly collectible, and people don't usually give them away unless they got multiple copies for uh, uh, what am I thinking of, for on when you're pregnant and you put together the list of the stuff you want.
Oh yeah,
Baby Target.
Yeah.
Put together a list of the stuff you want. I want pickles and ice cream. No, that's not what I meant. that wasn't what I want. That wasn't what I was going for. So,
my sister was never a big reader. She's 6 years younger than me, and she got into school when they decided, oh, we're not going to teach you phonics anymore, where you sound out words. We're just going to show you a word and you memorize it. So she never really learned to read and got comfortable. So when she was pregnant as an adult and married, she thought, I can't let my kid go through this. Not being able to really understand school and everything. What can I do? So of course, I immediately signed her kid up the moment that my niece was born. Signed her kid up for Book of the Month, Children's Book of the Month Club, and I would have books sent every month. And one time, and my sister started reading books, and she was reading a best-selling mystery thriller author. I'm not going to name him because anyway, but more power to her for reading. And anyway, there was one day when her daughter was like 3, and she's sitting in the living room and just, oh boy, this is great. So relaxing, so nice and relaxing. Wait a minute, relaxing with a 3-year-old? What's Heather up to? And so she goes running through the house and gets to the bedroom, opens the door, and this little 3-year-old girl sitting in the middle of the floor in her bedroom. Every book she owned, which was a lot of them, is piled around her in a circle. It's a big moat of books, and she's just been going through them. All these books, reading them to herself, telling herself the stories of them as she remembers or wants them to be. She's 33 years old now. She's got a master's degree. She's gosh, it's a linguistics speech therapy type of thing. I mean,
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
really kind of scientific writing, reading, learning, wow, sort of field, and the whole family, we couldn't be prouder of her.
Give me
And
one
that was
second here.
books.
Lady Al, as I call her,
Ah,
from Al's Full Shelf Shop, says, I don't think our library uses Overdrive anymore. They have Libby, Hoopla, and Canopy. So Libby is actually Overdrive.
rebrand.
Yeah, they used to be two separate apps. There was the Overdrive app and there was the Libby app. And what they did was they retired the old Overdrive app, and just went with Libby. Hoopla uh, Hoopla is a that's a spinoff from a company called Midwest Tape Incorporated, and Hoopla is pretty awesome. And Hoopla will carry stuff that libraries are scared to carry. So if you're somebody who's into erotica, for example, you'll find it under Hoopla. You'll find some under Libby in Overdrive if the library is brave enough. But Hoopla, because of their subscription service, the way it works, libraries have access to everything that Hoopla carries. Overdrive has a couple different uh, uh, Overdrive has a couple different models. One is a library can purchase a book and purchase an ebook, and it can be checked out just like a regular book, so that when it's checked out, nobody else can check it out. And if they want to see, Patrick, I knew you'd be happy if I mentioned erotica. Um, the the other model is the pay-as-you-go model, where a library has access to every single title in the Overdrive catalog, and the library only pays when the book is checked out. Hoopla runs on that model, and Canopy is really geared more towards film, but they and TV episodes. But Canopy, so not so much in the books, but between Hoopla and Libby, you can find pretty much anything that's been published. Hoopla is just really great at working with small pubs and carrying, being open to that. All of these are fed by Ingram, which is the big daddy of it all, and I am happy to say that all of our titles from Misti Media are available through Overdrive and through Hoopla. So if you don't see any of our titles currently on in your particular library, by all means you can request them. And so as a publisher, I will tell you that I am more than happy for people to check out our books from the library. You know what? As I don't have this problem that the big publishers do, where big publishers have these ridiculous quotas that a paper book can only be checked out a certain number of times from a library before it must be replaced by a new copy. There's all sorts of ridiculous isolation on ebook purchasing for public libraries from the major pubs. Again, can only be checked out a certain number of times, blah, blah, blah. We don't subscribe to any of that. I put no restrictions whatsoever. It's not my job to stand in the way of people reading and tell people how to read. My job is to make our titles available to every single audience everywhere in the world on however they want to consume our titles. And keep in mind that if a library buys our book and they check it out 20 times, the author and I only got paid, that when the library bought the book. But in the case of the ebook, most libraries are shifting over to this pay-as-you-go model. So now, especially in the case of Hoopla, every single time somebody checks out one of our books from Hoopla, my authors and I get paid. So I have no objections whatsoever to folks going to their public library. We keep our books way more affordable than the big pubs do. For some reason, big publishers think they can charge $14.99 for an ebook, which is absolutely insane. Even though the and Linda, I'm sure you've seen the news that there will no longer be mass market paperbacks, which I find really sad, but that's a topic for another show.
Yeah.
We still charge mass market prices, so our pricing on ebooks is the same as you would have paid for a paperback back in like 1990. Like we charge $4.99 and $4.99 for our ebooks.
And with the paperbacks going into the libraries, the author and publisher get paid the one time. However, when you're a real, bookie, like a foodie book, but for books, when you really like books, and you go into the library and you say, "Wow, this is great. Do you have more?" "Oh no, we don't have any more right now." "Okay, I'll go and see if I can order it from the publisher online."
Yeah.
And then, because anybody that really adores books, when you find a good writer, you want more.
There's a definite correlation, and there's been plenty of studies to prove it. There's a definite correlation between when people are exposed to a title through their public library, of them going on to actually purchase not only purchase future books in that series, but a lot of times the person will go back and buy the book they read in the library. So yeah, I've done that myself. I've bought books that I've read and that I've checked out from the library. It's a great way to, if you're not sure whether or not you are going to like a series, it's a cheap investment. But that's why we also do, the first book in a series, it's the ebook's 99 cents from our website and $1.99 if they buy it anywhere else. I mean, that's less than a Starbucks to give a title a whirl and see if you like the series. I think Kay George is in the chat right now. Kay is one of my authors that I've worked with now for going on well over 13 years. And I remember when we introduced the idea with Kay's series about making the first book 99 cents, and wow, I mean, it just took off for people being willing to take a risk. And then naturally they loved that first book, Death in the Time of Ice, and kept right on going with the rest of the series as they came along. So I think you've got to give people that entry point to that's in their cases. We were children then. Yeah, no kidding, girl. No kidding. I just had a birthday back on the 10th, and I got to thinking about that, like, what age I was when I started in publishing, and like, oh, I've always joked that where so many people, including previous publishing house that will not be named, when that was the goal, my business partner and I did not have the same goal in mind. They had a goal of building the business up and selling it, and my thing has always been that I want to be found dead face down in a pile of manuscripts at my laptop. My goal is to get back to publishing full time again, and do this for the rest of my life. I mean, I love seeing exactly. I mean, one of these reasons why I've fallen in love with this reseller community, where we've got so many folks that are in our channel tonight from it, is because uh, none of them do their reselling half-assed. They all do it because you can tell that there's a genuine passion behind it. It's what they want to do. All of them, I'm sure, want to do it full time and be successful at it full time because they genuinely love what they do. And you listen to people like Cajun Roots reseller Johnny, who is so clearly passionate, not only about the YouTube stuff he does, but about the reselling. It's like that's me. That's how I feel about publishing. Like I never have a bad day when I'm working on publishing. Patrick Murphy asks, oh, and he asked a tame question. I'm surprised. So there's writing workshops available. There are writing workshops available. Check your local community, especially check your public library. Most of the most libraries have a really great up-to-date list of what sort of education is going on in their community, and libraries are typically the home of where the authors meet to have their groups. They'll take over one of the side rooms or something and have their weekly meeting there. In some cases, if you're in St. Louis, where where Sandra Murphy, who's one of our editors, lives, she's got a separate writing group there called Writers Under the Arch. Those folks meet together. I can neither confirm nor deny the possibility that Misti Media will be teaching writing classes this year. I can neither confirm nor deny that.
And
all I can say
there
is
are a
stay
lot.
tuned.
There are a lot of online classes these days, and I just attended an online class that was free from the Authors Guild, even though I'm not a member yet, about how to set up these classes, how writers can set up these classes online and distribute them and have writing workshops online for people from any part of the world to do. And that's becoming a really big thing. And you have people that know what they're doing. Sometimes they're multiply published, sometimes not a lot of publications, but they got the teaching chops and can teach you about point of view and refamiliarize you with verb tenses and stuff. But there's a lot of things available.
Yeah, if you get a chance, take a look. Michael Bracken and Stacy Bella Woodson every year. Michael started a couple years ago a yearly conference for writing short stories. We're a sponsor, very happily so. Michael is a fucking genius. No other way of putting it when it comes to writing short stories. Stacy's no slouch either, and they've put together a really, really great conference of education for writing short stories. And I mean, the feedback on that's just been huge. People are just, I mean, if you get the chance to learn from a master like Michael Bracken, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. But also, if you attend any of the conferences like BoucherCon or any of the big writing conferences, they almost always, they've all got tracks to follow for writing. Michael's last Michael. Hang on one sec. Greg's asking Michael's last name. Bracken, Bracken. He is a really well-known editor, and fortunately, he's edited some stuff for us, including Janie's Got a Gun, crime fiction inspired by the music of Aerosmith. And Michael appears in several of our anthologies, and he has a new anthology coming out from us this year. All with crime fiction, all based around the Texas State Fair. Thank you, Kay. Yes, ShortCon is Michael's convention, Michael's class. So highly recommend that one.
And there are a lot of the national groups. If you write mysteries, there's Mystery Writers Association. There's Sisters in Crime. That's not just for women only, and all sorts of groups like that. And they have their conventions, in whatever city and all that. But a lot of them also have classes online. In their monthly meeting, they'll do it Zoom and have, somebody teaching about, how to use red herrings in your crime story, things like that.
And I should add that,
There's
and
a group
Writers
for
and
like
Publishers
every interest.
and Writers
Go
and
ahead.
Publishers Network has monthly programming. If you're interested, they have monthly programming as well that covers all those sort of things. Um, so Linda, we're coming up on that, or just over that hour mark. So we kind of need to wrap up. What do you have? You have anything writing related coming up for yourself here in the next 2 weeks?
Well, I've got that short story class I was telling you about. I've got a short free thing where I'm going to talk about point of view to the local chapter of the International Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And so it's the regular meeting of the group here in the northern part. And going to talk about that, and you don't have to remember to attend, but that's what I've got coming up. I'm working on just a bunch of stuff and kind of behind on some things, but just writing.
Cool. We've got lots of stuff in it. We've got lots of books coming in the pipeline. Lots of great stuff coming. I've got have a really important nonfiction book coming out about the donut dollies who served in Vietnam and World War II and who are still not recognized as veterans. That is a monster tentpole release for us. It's currently in formatting. We hope to have that released here really soon. It's been 2 years in the making. It's going to be a really big deal. We've got new stuff coming from K. George. We've got some really cool new stuff from Sandra Murphy and some writers. We've also got a short story collection coming from that's a joint venture between Sandra Murphy and Michael Bracken. Lots of cool stuff coming. For me personally, if you folks aren't tired of me completely, you soon will be. I've been invited to be the stand-in guest host on the Morning Boost with Johnny and Mark, beginning Wednesday, February 25th. Mark is going to be taking a bit of a leave of absence, and they very kindly asked if I would step in as co-host for the show. So lock up your husbands because I'm coming. It's going to be a droll factor. We certainly wish Mark the best while he takes care of stuff, but I am looking forward to being there for Johnny and for Mark and for really helping out. I know that also if I'm for some reason not available, the extremely lovely and talented and ever youthful Regina, who's also in the chat, will be filling in for me if I can't be there. So again, the community coming together to take care of our own and make sure that we're taking care of everybody else. We have signed an agreement basically amongst ourselves and finishing out the details with Johnny that moving forward starting in March, Misti Media will be part of the reseller shop hop every single month, which I'm really excited about.
That was so fun. That was so much fun to do that.
We had a blast. And we'll be in a really, really cool position in that show in that we're going to, due to my availability, we're going to be in sort of the second to last position right before one of my favorite resellers that I've dropped a fucking mortgage to, named Tooch Man. So we'll be leading into Tooch, one of my favorite people. So that's kind of what we've got a lot of stuff going on. There's some big changes coming for Misti Media here really soon in terms of the website and some other new programs that we're going to be rolling out. Be on the lookout. Also, we're going to continue doing this Q&A. Linda and I were talking about it. We really enjoyed the idea of being able to have topics that kind of lead us into new directions. I mean, you can see we literally had one question tonight, but it led to some other really great discussion, and God, the time flew. But I really enjoy doing that. It gives us a chance to know more about Linda and get to experience her background. So more than likely the second show of every month will be this, we'll call it a Q&A, but really it's going to just, we'll probably be taking questions and then kind of branching off into other discussions as it comes along. So we'll still do our interviews, and those are going to expand out to include cover artists and editors and all that kind of thing. And that's going to be starting, we'll be putting out that lineup here fairly soon. We're trying to get ourselves I'm taking the advice of Miss Sandra Murphy. I'm doing my best to get everything scheduled ahead of time so that people don't get blindsided by what we're trying to accomplish. But as always,
listening to Sandy Murphy is one of the best things to do. I mean, she's like one of the best editors I've ever had editing me, and she's got some good ideas. So yeah, got to listen to her.
She also really controls a guy named Guido that she is always threatening to send after me when I don't listen to her. So yep. I like my kneecaps firmly placed on the front of my legs. So yes, it's always wise to listen to Sandy. So again, folks, we're not monetized. Please do be sure to subscribe to our channel. Encourage other folks to subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button. Please leave comments. You may not realize how that helps the algorithm, but leaving comments actually has us show up again in other people's feeds, and really helps us get the word out on us, which in turn helps us spread the word on our authors and our titles and gets them all royalty checks, which I'm more than happy to cut. I think that's about it for tonight. Linda, anything else for you?
Yeah. Yep. I think that's it. I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to survive the snowpocalypse that's snowing. Yeah.
All right. Well, Linda, I'm going to send you back to the green room. I'll meet you there back in a second. And folks, thanks again so much for being with us and being willing to spend your time with us. I realize everybody's time is precious, and we just really appreciate you folks choosing to spend that time with us. I know not everybody that attends is into publishing, but I'm thrilled to see people that are still interested in us and what we do and our passions. So have a really good night. Read something really good and tell us what you're reading in the comments for the show. And we will see all of you on the next one. Take care, everybody.